Hello there. I am making a video only a couple of hours after I said on my community tab that I didn't know when the next video was gonna be made. That's fun, but there's a good reason for it, and it's because this is a relatively low effort video where I'm just reacting to someone else's video, because it's just how it do be. If I feel a little bit wheezy, or if there's a weird little cut, it's because I had to cough. Because yeah, I'm sick. But before people be like, "Oh, Lambert, you're always getting sick," which I've had a couple of those comments. I would argue this is the same sickness that I had a couple of weeks ago. Long COVID plus flu is not a good mix, and I think I might have to go to the hospital next week to see if I've got like pneumonia or something. That's fun. Anyway, that's enough rambly bullshit that completely irrelevant. Let's get on to this video, and I will start by showing you this channel here. This is Hammurabae. Now, I am subscribed to Hammurabae, have been for a few months, and there's a good reason for that. Alright? I may not play Victoria 3 anymore because I think it is a very bad game with little to no redeeming qualities. But I have actually been watching some Victoria 3. And I think I'll show you, right? Because I've been watching Victoria 3, his Spanish Empire run, his Germany run. I've been watching his Victoria 3 stuff because, well, a good way to explain what these videos are is they're multiplayer games, right? And if you think of multiplayer, as I do, as a spectrum, right? On the one side, you've got someone like, he should be here, Absolute Habibi, right? Absolute Habibi's videos, his multiplayer games are very, competitive, right? There's few rules about, no rules about snaking, about doing things that are, very, that country wouldn't do. They're very on one end of a spectrum. Hammurabi is on the very opposite end of the spectrum. His multiplayer games are very, very roleplay centric, and I enjoy watching that. Even if it's in a game that I really don't enjoy. My own multiplayer games, by the way, I like to think dead in the center of both of those two extremes. But neither extreme is bad because I watch both of their videos on it. My own games, I prefer them in the middle. Anyway, that's all a bit of a rambliness. I'm already running out of breath. That's great. It's a fantastic start. But I just wanted to preface, I quite like this guy and his videos and his channel, and I like his videos on Victoria 3. Except for this one, because this one, I'm not gonna lie, it's fucking awful. So let's watch it and react to it, and I will also have another preface. I have asked Hammurabi if I can do this. He's giving me his blessing. He knows that I am going to be incredibly negative towards this video. He's still fine with it. So, the last time I did a reaction video to a Victoria 3 vid, the creator didn't take it so well. Yeah, no, I'm blocked on Twitter and all that. It's very fun. Anyway, let us watch this video.
Copium.
Son, nothing else in the world smells like that. I love the smell of
Copium.
in the morning.
You smell that.
It's not. I mean, okay. Well, it's. This whole part is like a bit of a tongue-in-cheek poke fun kind of thing. If you don't know who these three people are supposed to be, this is Tommy K, this is Eyesore Productions, and this is Spudgun. Spudgun's channel is almost exclusively multiplayer Victoria 2. Eyesore does a lot of different Paradox games. He's part of like the Bacoan group that does multiplayer games in that vein. He did a video called Victoria 3 is Stinky, and then Tommy K is mostly a Hearts of Iron guy. I think he's done both positive and negative takes of Victoria 3. But his take on the warfare system specifically was, if I remember correctly, very negative. But anyway, yeah, all these people dislike Victoria 3's warfare system. I think Isora said that, yeah, it's bad, but the other parts of the game are much worse, which is, it's a fair take.
That's Victoria 2 diehards collectively inhaling levels of copium that would kill even Hoi 4 wereboots. What is the cult of Vicky 2, might you ask? Well, it's an organization run by various con artists like Spudgun, for example, who take inspiration from a group known as the Luddites in Victoria.
So, the Spudgun is a very controversial figure, and he's not very well liked by Paradox itself. I don't think it's really a good idea to just call out another creator as, firstly, a con artist and a Luddite. Luddite can be, it's on brand and themed towards, the Victorian period, so that's kind of fine. But calling him a con artist, I don't think it really matters what his reputation is. I think if we're talking specifically about Victoria 2 and Victoria 3, I don't see where con artist really is coming into play here. I don't think his dislike towards Victoria 3 is con artistry. I don't see where that's coming in.
In England. When they saw the future, they responded by burying their heads in the sand. A logical step. Let's not get too deep into that analogy, as the rise of industrial factories and the cottage industry was horrible. My point.
If you're, you brought up the analogy, my dude. Let's continue the analogy. Yeah, those factories were horrible for the people working in them, just like, Victoria 3 is horrible for the people playing it. Yeah, see, it works. You can't just use an analogy and then drop it as soon as the logical conclusion of that analogy hurts the point you're trying to make. It's only fair. It's only fair. If you're making the analogy that the people who dislike Victoria 3 are Luddites, and the Luddites disliked, the new factories, well, the new factories weren't all that good for the people working in it, who would be the players. It's just a logical conclusion. I don't know. I don't know what to say. It was a pretty bad idea to use that example.
Point stands. Victoria 2 is the predecessor to Victoria 3 and still has a devoted and very hardcore following who make themselves known every time a positive comment is left on a video about Victoria 3. In this video,
look, I think it's pretty fine to share your opinion, right? It's not any kind of, it's not a copium, it's not like a cabal of organized, Vic 2 hardcore fans that are disliking Victoria 3. Hell, there are people who dislike Victoria 2 and Victoria 3. Wild. You don't have to be a Victoria 2 fanboy to see that Victoria 3 is a bad game.
I'm going to talk about why Victoria 2 was frankly really, really bad, and why Victoria 3 is already better and could be incredible. I'm Hammurabae.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda. It could be incredible, yeah, if they rip out all of the things that are bad and replace it with better things. And I feel like that's not really Victoria 3 then, and it's pure speculation. In calling Victoria 2 bad, it's showing its age. But there are many, many ways in which Victoria 2 remains better than Victoria 3. To the point where certain elements of Victoria 2, previously stated to not be making an appearance in Victoria 3, are making an appearance in Victoria 3. The first example of that would be the thing that they've just added. I don't know. I know that they're doing Spheres of Influence soon, which is fun. The one I was trying to think of was Autonomous Investment. That's in Victoria 3 now. I haven't played with that yet, because I gave up on the game before that came out, but That's what I was trying to think of, and more will come because Victoria 2 still a gem, still lots of good systems, still better than Victoria 3.
Abe, and I kindly ask that all you Victoria 2 fans watching this stop right now before I become a part of the next Jeffrey Dahmer style Netflix special. Let's get going.
I don't understand what Victoria 2 fans need to stop before Hammurabi becomes a I don't get it. I'm just gonna chalk it down to an American thing. I don't even know if Hammurabi's American, but that's what I'm gonna say it is.
Victoria 2 was released in August of 2010 to fairly solid reviews. At release, it garnered some interest and was seen as a very solid game. Keep in mind, this was strategy games at the end of the 2000s, a time when RTS was king and grand strategy was fairly niche, to be honest.
I will admit, I did not play Victoria 2 on release, because my very first Paradox game was Crusader Kings 2, which was about a year old when I found it. I'm pretty sure the Old Gods DLC was already released, although I can't actually remember when that came out in relative to CK2's release. But yeah, I came into Paradox games when CK2 was already released, so Victoria 2 was a game that I came to much later. It already had both of its DLCs, and a healthy modding community, and yeah, I mean, we'll see where it goes with it.
The game itself was groundbreaking in terms of unique mechanics, with a fully simulated population system, political system, as well as a host of other amazing...
Yo, hold up. My dude. Very objective. I suppose, no, wait, no, that's fair. I made videos on Victoria 3, and I dislike Vic 3 so much, so I suppose that's fine. I suppose it's fine.
Amazing features. You may be asking yourself why I'm speaking highly of this game after what I have said so far, and let me be clear, it had very, very good parts. However, this is one of the sad cases where the parts are greater than the whole. Victoria 2 is a frustrating game, not just due to the bugs and crashes, which there are a lot of.
Are there even that many nowadays? I mean, I'm not going to say Victoria 2 is a bug-free game by any stretch, nor is it a crash-free game, but it's certainly in the, I think, probably 250 to hours that I've gotten in the game. I'm going to check. I am damn sure I have not had, how many things you got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 warning crash things. I've not had that many in 231 hours. I've had maybe 4, and they were all in multiplayer. So, I don't know, take that how you will.
It's frustrating.
Oh god, it got
because
worse.
It was a game that could have been great with the proper time and care. Paradox is the king.
It's strange that he's using this very generic red error warning thing when he could have just played Victoria 3 and waited until one of its inevitable and prevalent crashes gave him the actual Paradox crash reporter. That would have been a good idea, Hammurabae. I'm sure you've got footage of that shit. I know I sure as shit do.
King of strategy, undisputedly. And they never fail, even in their worst games, to not add in creative mechanics that excite you. But as with any game, it needs to all come together. This game was unprecedented, but also released at a very unfortunate time. Crusader Kings 2 defined Paradox for a very simple reason. Crusader Kings
DLC.
2 defined Paradox for a very simple reason.
Still DLC. Yeah, I mean, had Vic 2 came out after CK2 did, maybe it would use the same DLC model that CK2 did, and it would have that, longevity that CK2 did, with many, many updates, many DLCs, etc. Would that make Victoria 2 a better game than it is now? Probably. Continual support is important, and it'd be nice if Victoria 2 had that continued support. But it didn't, because it came out before CK2, so it is what it is.
Right after the end of Victoria's development.
I gotta do it, man.
Gotta switch to that new DLC model, which they're switching away from now.
Dude.
Why? Well, because it turns out grand strategy players are so desperate for quality and depth, they will pay you money for updates. No, it's literally that simple.
He's not
All
wrong.
you have to do is rebrand it as DLC. The result of this neat little marketing hack is a $4 billion market cap evaluation 2021 and a solid $2.6 billion evaluation currently as I'm making this video.
Look, he's not wrong. Paradox really took off when it came to CK2. It was just a wild hit, and that changed the trajectory of the company for a good while. It wasn't until... I feel like it was Imperator that's changed it around, but it may have been before that with EU4, where DLCs stopped being mechanics heavy and started being more flavorful, and mechanics were more in the base game. It may have actually been Stellaris that pioneered that. That actually feels more right. So yeah, they've gone through many different like post-release support models, and unironically, or I guess ironically, unironically, people are saying this, and it's ironic that people are saying this. So is it unironically or ironically? Either way, whatever. Ironically, people are now saying when you ask them, why you're so mad at Paradox's DLC model and what would they do that would be better, they point to things like The Witcher 3 game, which had a big DLC, which added a whole bunch of blah blah whatever. I don't know. I didn't play the DLC. But it's funny because that kind of post-release support is kind of like what Paradox did before CK2, right? Just a small number of DLCs that change the game in a big way that basically become essential purchases to play the game anymore. That's what they had before CK2, which is... I don't think I want to see Paradox go back to that model, if I'm being honest. Then they switched to regular, I think bi-yearly? Twice a year? Is that bi-yearly? Whatever. Every 6 months or so, they had a DLC which added mechanics. Then they had that, but an accompanying flavor DLC, which would have things like the music and unit models and such. I think that started with Third Rome. And now they've gone on to a model where most of the mechanical bits are in the update, and all you're getting in the DLC is flavor, and people are still not happy because they want... oh, why would I buy this? It doesn't change anything, or the DLC feels so flat and empty. Really, Paradox can't win when it comes to, a DLC argument. People kind of just expecting everything and to not pay for it, which is a bit ridiculous. I'm not saying the DLC model that they've got is perfect or has ever been perfect, no by any means. I think some of the prices that they charge for DLC are kind of obscene. I'm just kind of lucky or privileged that I don't have to pay for any of them because Paradox give me them for free because I make videos, which is life hack, I guess. But yeah, I do feel like the prices are kind of wild. But yeah, I mean, I don't see them ever winning when it comes to the DLC policy. Damned if you do, damned if you do something different.
Paradox was very much an indie game company who was experimenting. And despite the greedy nature of Paradox's DLC model, it does allow games to be improved upon into amazing things. I won't get into the current issues with that. My point is that Victoria 2 was born too early and strangled in the crib like a Hercules with degenerative bone disease. Paradox being a much more successful Hera in this weird analogy. Victoria 2 was bad for several reasons.
Well, it wasn't though, right? Okay. Victoria 2 has problems. Not gonna argue against that. But I wouldn't say that it suffered so much from having the previous DLC model. The only method in which it suffered from is the lack of post-release support that goes on for years and years and years. It still got 2 DLCs, right? They were just the kind of DLCs that became absolutely essentials, right? That's kind of what you needed to buy to be able to play the game without the game kind of, breaking on you.
So let's start with the obvious. Although it's fair to say that there was no precedent for a DLC update model at this time, That game just wasn't complete. There's no way to pretend that's not true. The game...
There is a DLC model that Paradox uses right now. However, despite, having a DLC model, you can't argue that Victoria 3 constitutes a complete game. You just can't. It's not true. I feel like this isn't going to be the last time that an argument he makes against Victoria 2 more applicably applies? Fucking hell. More aptly, appropriately, whatever, applies to Victoria 3. It's not going to be the last time, is it?
The game launched with a host of graphical and mechanical issues that were slowly patched, but never truly resolved. The tutorial for the game was at best fucking awful.
Can we list off the DLCs, the tutorials that Paradox have done that have been good? All right, I'll start. Crusader Kings 3. End of list. EU4's tutorial, garbage. CK2's tutorial, garbage. Hearts of Iron 4's tutorial, garbage. Stellaris tutorial, garbage. Victoria 3 tutorial, garbage. It's kind of a running theme. CK3 is the exception, right? The single solitary exception. And yeah, no, Victoria 2's tutorial was shit. That's that it wouldn't change. You wouldn't get a good tutorial in Paradox for like almost a decade after Victoria 2 came out. I mean, what do you expect, my dude?
Which made the game's innately solid but intimidating features even harder to use. As
That's
well as the
point.
fact it just wasn't really that fun for long.
We talking about Victoria 2 or Victoria 3 here?
I remember the first time I played it after launch. The features were hard to learn, but when you got a hang of them, not the worst, and interesting. But
Okay, so it's already better than Victoria 3 because after you got a hang of them, they are the worst, and they're not interesting. Okay, so Victoria 2's winning right now.
after a playthrough or two, really just left much to be desired. It
Very first playthrough, much to be desired.
reminded me of a shock and awe magician, whose tricks at first look complex and amazing, because they are. But after you see them a few times and see how they function, they start to really just lose their appeal.
Does he not see the irony in this? Like, just this is a question to you, Hammurabae, like, directly. Can you not see that applies to Victoria 3? I mean, it's worse, right? Because a lot of the things that people complain about, myself included and especially, were complained about before the game even came out. They were complained about in the dev diaries. They were complained about in the pre-release, like, press releases and footage and reviews. They were complained about before anyone got their hands on the game. And we were right, because for the very first time that we played the game, we recognized, oh, we were right. These things that we complained about, that we said that were going to be bad, are bad. So it's not even like a shock and awe magician. It's like a homeless magician who makes very little effort to disguise the fact that he's just stealing your watch. And he doesn't even manage to do it. I suppose, very few of us managed to refund the game, I guess. So maybe he did, in fact, steal the watch. Wiz the watch thief. Yeah.
This could have been resolved by making the game more approachable, providing balance and AI features, as well as just generally focusing on polishing and improving, rather than adding in sweeping whole new pieces of content.
This is kind of a critique of a 10-year-old DLC model at this point. I don't know. It's a bit weird.
Victoria 2 released 2 DLCs, which again were really solid, but they did not come with a resolution to the game's core issue.
Which is?
Sustainable fun, which is king in strategy, as well as polish.
Wait. Is sustainable fun the key issue? Hang on, I'm gonna go back and just without pausing.
Really solid, but they did not come with a resolution to the game's core issue. Sustainable fun, which is king in strategy, as well as polish and a lack of issues.
Okay, so the DLC didn't fix his issue, which was to make the game sustainably fun. The fact that there is a sizable amount of people who still play Victoria 2, a sizable amount of people who still mod Victoria 2, despite it not getting any updates in many, many years at this point, kind of proves you wrong there, that the game does have sustainable fun. Clearly enough sustainable fun that people will spend thousands of hours playing it, modding it, and watching it on YouTube. I would argue that Victoria 2, right now, on YouTube, does better numbers than Victoria 3 does. I'd argue that's pretty... yeah, kind of fair, right? I'm not talking about these videos about talking about how the game plays, right? That's, you know, or talking about dev diary or announcement of an update, right? That's kind of not really the kind of video I'm talking about, like a let's play or an edited multiplayer game, something along those lines. Victoria 2 will pull more numbers. It just will, even though it's way older. But to say it did, and the other point that it didn't fix the bugs. Please, I beg, point me to a Paradox DLC that has fixed every bug that existed in the game prior to that DLC. Point me to it. I'd love to see it. I would love to see it. 'Cause, my dude, it doesn't exist. I mean, is it a valid critique? The DLC that they released did not fix the bugs. Is that a valid critique? Sure. But it's not a critique that is unique to Victoria 2. And hell, Vicky 3 has released DLCs. Did it fix all of the bugs in the game that existed before the DLC was released? Fucking doubt it. Did it release? Did it fix the core problem with Victoria 3? That the game is shit? No, it didn't. It's a very strange accusation to lay at Victoria 2 as if it's some unique problem.
A house divided added a lot of depth to the US, being primarily a flavor pack, kind of like the French
That's the wrong
DLC
game.
we just got for Vicky 3, but better.
That's the wrong
as
game.
well as a few feature updates. It made the US much more fun to play, certainly, but that's just one country. Updates.
Wrong game. What did he say?
Much more fun to play.
Vic 2 Simps won't be able to tell anyway. Vic 2 Simps won't be able to tell that the footage you showed was not of the game that they simp over. I feel like it's just pretty insulting at this point. Like, I don't understand why it's... whatever.
Certainly, but that's just one country.
Garbage. It doesn't even look as good. And yeah, you want to zoom in? You want to zoom in and see how amazing Victoria 3 looks? Let me just show you just how amazing Victoria 3 looks. The fact is that one of the most God damn it, where is it? My workshop items. I want to see my files. One of the most used mods in Victoria 3 is my mod that I made that removes the clouds. Yeah, 20,000 subscribers from 33,000 visitors. I have been reliably informed that I am that the people who make the game are also maybe using these mods. Look, I mean, Hammurabae himself asked if he could use it for his mod. This is actually the first time I had learned about Hammurabae. This is where I learned of him. Look shit. Just...
Heart of Darkness was my favorite, and one which at the time gave me so much hope, as the colonial system was fun and provided nuance, and an engaging feature for the game which made things so different each time. However, with the release of this DLC, development died, and Victoria 2's future was gone.
Development was stopped. Sure. But is it fair to say it died when it was like that was the plan? That was how Paradox did their games at this point. You know, they did the game, they did a couple of DLC, and they moved on to the next game. Like they released a game a year in that era. So saying it died feels a bit more like dramatic than it really needs to be.
It didn't have to be this way. Look what they took from you.
What did they take from me? They took away my hope that the sequel to Victoria 2 would be remotely playable and decent at all.
Yet a hero rises in the darkest times. Who might
A fucking hero. A fucking hero. Are you shitting me? A fucking hero.
this be? The humble modder. Modders in Paradox are built differently, to put it simply. While most simply sigh with annoyance and leave games which lack core functionality and enjoyment, the modder simply puts on his thigh highs, updates Linux, and proceeds to release a mod which is unreasonably amazing in a short amount of time, comparable to what a studio development team can do. They are who picked up this game when the studio themselves moved on to new
talking about Vic
things
2,
and
right?
made it what we now think of it to be.
So Vic 2 bad, but modders made it amazing. Is that where we're going with this? Because I mean, sure, right? There are a lot of mods for Victoria 2 that are phenomenal, right? We've got things like the HPM, HFM. Those are both great. I'm pretty sure those acronyms are correct. Then there's Divergences of Darkness, which is amazing. Look, there's a lot of mods. A lot of effort being put into those mods, and sure, they're, you know, are they what we think of Victoria 2 today? Is that what's coloring our appreciation of this game? I don't think so.
Modding is what makes people misremember Victoria 2. It's what makes it even remotely enjoyable and playable. After
No, you can still remotely enjoy and remotely play Victoria 2 vanilla and have fun. I did that! When Victoria 3 was announced, I went and played a game of Sardinia Piedmont into Italy, and I had a fucking blast.
your first 20 hours. Mods like HPM are incredible and provide the depth the game always lacked, as well as fixing the dramatic game-ruining issues. Vic 2 was among the first Paradox games to get a dedicated group of these individuals, followed by CK2 and EU4 right after. It is their work we take for granted and innately add into our perception of many games, especially in strategy. But to be clear, they are not Paradox. And what they add is not the game itself.
Okay, that's a fair point. However, you have to remember, these modders are putting so much time into modding these games because they love them. I'd argue it's a very rare modder that puts so much time into modding a game that they don't already love. I'm thinking of the likes of Gigot, who is the lead developer of the Mayo and Texas mod. The last time I checked, he had over 20,000 hours in EU4, many of them modding the game. Yeah, he spends a hell of a lot of time modding EU4 because he loves EU4. He doesn't mod it because he hates it and wants to change it to make it, you know, different. He mods it because he loves it and he wants to make it better, right? You don't mod a game that you hate, he says. But you don't. You don't mod a game that you hate. You already, like, if you, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Where's he going with this?
The creativity and care put into games by these people is something special.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to understand that all strategy games will have this now. It's important not to let free labor from people who do this out of both love, but also frustration, be what makes a game good and be critically and personally viewed as quality. Nor should we remember.
Alright, I very much enjoy the game Mount and Blade Warband. I think the game is fantastic. I played that for hundreds of hours. And then I found Prophecy of Pendor mod, and I played it for hundreds more hours. My perception of Mount and Blade Warband is of having tons of fun. Bannerlord is okay, right? But my perception of Warband is elevated because of Prophecy of Pendor, but that underlying game is still there. No mod for Victoria 2 changes Victoria 2 so dramatically that it is no longer recognizable as Victoria 2. None of them. Maybe one of the World War One mods or World War Two, I don't know. But they don't. They just don't, right? It's not like they're modding in Doom or something, you know? They're still underlying, like, they're those games, right? Prophecy of Pendor is a phenomenal mod. If you haven't played it, you should play it. But it's still Mount and Blade Warband. Underneath it, it's still that game, and it's still recognizably that game, and it's still the game that I love. It's just got that extra layer. It's exactly the same for Victoria 2. And when someone gives enough of a shit about Victoria 3 to make a mod of that quality for it, it's going to be the same there as well. Right now, that just doesn't exist, though, as far as I'm aware.
Differently, Victoria 2 is garbage. Victoria
3 is garbage.
2 mods are fantastic. This is not a nitpick.
Look, if a game is garbage, and you mod that game, the mod is also going to be good. No mod has ever turned a garbage game into a gem. None. Literally none of them. It's not a thing. It's not a thing.
It's an important nuance, because game companies know this too. It will be abused if not understood.
I'm gonna laugh so hard if one of his future... I don't know why my camera's gone a bit jittery. I'm gonna laugh so hard if one of his future praises for Victoria 3 is like the modding potential. I'm gonna laugh.
Victoria 3 released in late 2022 to very, very mixed reviews. Its development and release was made complicated by the leaking of a beta version almost a year before full release, really muddying the waters. Before I continue, I want to...
Did it muddy the waters, or did it give people a confirmation of their fears? And did it not just expose people to their... to the game early? Obviously, you know, that it leaked was terrible, right? Awful. I feel real bad for the devs. People judging the game based purely on the leak? Originally, yeah, no, that's terrible, right? You don't do that. But when the game came out and all of those judgments turned out to still be a thing, I mean, do those critiques remain useless? I'd argue they kind of got confirmed. A lot of them. I'm pretty sure, if I remember rightly, one of the big critiques of the leak was like the AI was really bad, or there was some kind of thing to do with like revolutions were really something or other, and maybe that got fixed. I don't know. I didn't play the leak, so I don't know for sure. But you know, it's kind of hard to just dismiss all criticism of the leak when those criticisms could have just been delayed for like 8 months when the game came out, and then they'd be... I mean, honestly, some people would probably still dismiss them, but they'd be more widely regarded as valid.
Make clear what Vic 3 is on launch. Rushed, imperfect, buggy, but with a skeleton and core of pure gold.
Oh god, no. Look, is it rust? No, I'd argue that rust comes with like an age, but whatever. Is it buggy? Yes. Is it shaky? Yes. But saying that its foundations, that its core is pure gold is just wild. Like, it's so wrong. Because when he says that, I'm thinking of like the pillars of the game. What are the elements of the game that, you know, the gameplay is held up on? And I think, I mean, I'm pretty sure I've said this in a video before, I think Vic 3 fails on every single one of those points. I can't really see how it doesn't. Because we've got... I'm going to try and swiftly find my critique of Vic 3 so I can just read it out and not have to remember it. Because I did critique Victoria 3 quite heavily. Pillars. I'm just Googling on... Oh, there it is. Yeah, so the pillars of the game for Victoria 3 is economics, politics, diplomacy, warfare, and population. And Vic 3 fails to deliver on 5 out of 5 of those. Economically, the game feels stale and dead. Every single trade you make in the game, you have to do manually, with your pops having no agency to import the resources they need for their factories, regardless of what economic type your nation is. Laissez-faire and state capitalism play exactly the same, and while the latest update has gone some way into alleviating this, it's nowhere near enough. Your economic gameplay loop consists entirely of finding out what resources you're short on, and either beginning a construction to get a building to alleviate that shortage, or importing the good. And this is the vast majority of the game. It's neither fun nor engaging. After a line goes up, stops being a novelty. On the politics side, it consists entirely of clicking on a law and waiting for the random % chance for it to progress or regress. It's like EU4 sieges, but the chance of regression just makes it worse. The interest groups in your country, for the vast majority of the world, do not have the impact on gameplay that they need to be a worthwhile addition to the game. And without, I think, Japan having any kind of challenge when it comes to political gameplay. And the challenge is mitigated by save and reload, so your 15% chance to pass the law you want is successful. Almost every country can get the laws it wants within 15 to 20 years, and then politically the game is over. Diplomacy is a complete mess, mostly due to the AI being completely brain dead. You could have allies for half the game randomly join against you in a diplomatic play because reasons, I guess. The AI does not act in a rational or reasonable manner, and the reasons for their actions are completely obfuscated. It just leads to frustration. One of the taglines for the game was, anything that can be achieved through war can be achieved through diplomacy. But with almost every diplomatic play leading to warfare, unless you're so amazingly more powerful than the initial target, it just isn't true. And this wouldn't be such a terrible thing if warfare wasn't absolutely terrible. By far the worst warfare system ever implemented into a Paradox game, and the second worst isn't even close. The system is a complete failure from the conceptual level, and no amount of polishing this turd will ever make it acceptable, let alone good. The lack of agency, and paradoxically the increase in silly micro that this system demands, is atrocious. It's neither fun nor engaging, and the devs should get working on a replacement system as we speak. It was said when the first dev diary about war came out that this was not going to be good. We were not listened to, and in fact were abused for speaking out, and we were right the entire time. Fix this, or your game will die. And then finally, population. The least worst part of the game for sure, and the only gripe I have with it is that it just feels kind of pointless. Your pops will promote and demote to the available jobs at such a pace as to make the only really relevant distinction between pops: are they employed or are they a peasant? They have no agency of their own, like Vic 2's, nor are they as important to your country's health. They're a straight downgrade from what came before. And that's my critique of these golden foundations that Hammurabae thinks are so amazing. They're not. They're trash.
Paradox's business model for games is something we, the player base, have more or less agreed to, out of need as well as acceptance. They promise us they will make a game into a playable and amazing thing with time, but we agreed to...
Is that something we've agreed to? Because I suppose the sales numbers kind of make it that way, but it is something that is complained about a lot. That a game comes out and is a shell, and we're expected to basically pay for the game as the game comes out, right? There's memes been made of it for forever. In the case of Crusader Kings 3, what you had there was kind of the opposite problem than you have in Victoria 3, right? In CK3, when the game released, the foundations were phenomenal. but the game lacked in flavor and differentiation of different areas, and it was dry, but those foundations worked. Every system worked. Every system was fun on its own, it just didn't have the legs. Victoria 3 has the opposite problem, because the foundation for it is fucking garbage. Admittedly, the legs on it, the latest leg, the future is also garbage, right? So, while CK3 started off with a solid foundation but basically empty, and the rate of update for that game was really kind of dire, it did eventually get there. And Tours and Tournaments is the first DLC in fuck knows how long to come out of Paradox that is positively rated on Steam. With Vic 3, you've got shit foundations, and the first DLC has been panned because it's like, here, we changed France a little bit. We got these political actors that, are fucking moronic. I'm going to agitate for liberty and democracy in Britain. And then you throw him out of Britain and he moves to Japan. And he's like, you know what? Fuck the Japanese monarchy too. No, it's shit. It really is shit. It's just a shit game.
To accept an imperfect release and pay for its updates. That's really what it is. If you think anything else, it's really just simply ignoring the reality of how this company functions. I hated this for years, as I still do feel it puts barriers in place for kids without much money and poor strategy gamers. $15 to $30 a DLC is common now for all their DLCs, and that's a hefty sum.
Yeah, except it's no longer 15, is it? Like, the latest CK3 DLC is 30, right? Isn't Tours and Tournaments? Yeah, Tours and Tournaments is €30. That's fucking wild. Like I said, it is one of the only, it is positive, is very positive on Steam, right? One of the only DLCs to be positively rated. But my guy, it's €30. I don't know if I think it's worth €30. I mean, I like the DLC, but €30 is, I don't know if it's worth that.
Especially if you're not in a Western country. But they do make their games fantastic. There's no disputing that. Victoria...
I think there is disputing that. There's a lot of people who don't like Paradox games, right? When some people don't like CK3, so they're not gonna say that the DLCs are making CK3 fantastic. I mean, it's just a weird comment.
3 is the most pure example of this. The initial release left gaping chasms where content should be. It was clearly designed for modular feature updates. But despite this, I really think incredible. The political system...
I think you're wrong.
...is one of a kind, and the...
Political system is one of a kind because it's bad. I mean, it would be nice if, the other Paradox games had a political system. Like, it has more of a political system than EU4. That's a fair point. But it's not really being compared to EU4 or CK or Hearts of Iron with its political system, right? Because those games don't give a shit about that. It's being compared to Victoria 2, whose political system is better. It's not perfect. It's not even that good. But it's better.
Only game I think is remotely comparable is Democracy 3.
I haven't played it.
Excels more in policy, now simulating the struggles of governmental reform and governance. Its economic system somehow manages to represent goods and services in a pure sense, while being fairly manageable and understandable.
Does it represent goods and services in a pure sense, considering all of the goods are completely intangible? I'd argue no.
The population system is an absolute gem and
did you say population system? You can't have.
Fairly manageable and understandable. The population system is an absolute gem and a huge improvement on Victoria 2.
What are you saying? How do you think this population system is an improvement? It just isn't. None of the the demands of the population really impact you at all, because the political system is a case of fucking roll a dice to see if your siege progress on your political change progresses or not. It's irrelevant. The population makes it harder for your siege progress to, progress. But it's all RNG. It's a fucking dice roll. Whereas in Victoria 2, your population had what's it called? The name of it eludes me because I have a bad memory. And not enlightenment. It had oh shit. I have a really bad memory and it's kind of embarrassing right now. They had two values basically. One was their, angriness, and one was the amount that they were enlightened on issues. God damn, why am I forgetting the name of this so much? It's like on the tip of my tongue. Yeah, no, I lost it. But you know what I mean. If you've played Victoria 2, you know what I mean, right? In Victoria 3, all of the pops are just shuffled into one of these, groups that all want this thing. It's just not, these interest groups. It's just not as good. It's just not as good. In Victoria 2, you would research faster if the... I keep wanting to say enlightenment, but it's not that. When their enlightenment is high, but if their enlightenment is high, they know how much they're being fucked by the government. So they get angry. It's a really important system. It's one of the systems that Johan has stated is something that he thinks was the core pillar of Victoria 2. And he was shocked that it didn't make its way into Victoria 3. And instead there's just how angy the pops are. And that's kind of shit. It's kind of wank, not gonna lie.
The manner in which political radicalism, involvement, party preferences are tied into wealth and jobs and education is masterful.
No, it's
and
not.
lastly,
it is in Victoria 2. It's not in Victoria 3.
Which is the crux of the issue for the Victoria 2 diehards, the war system.
God, please, how you can defend this shit?
When Victoria 3 released, my YouTube feed was full of one type of video from all the big strategy YouTubers. They were all different and varied in quality, but they shared the same general theme. Why can't I move my toy soldiers on the Mappies game? This is fucking bullshit.
I don't enjoy how he belittles. He's making it out to be a childish complaint. Toy soldiers and Mappies. I mean, really? I suppose if you reduce your opponent to that of a child, it's much easier to beat them in a argument, right?
Victoria 3 has taken a fantastic and frankly brave direction to...
I will admit, it is brave. No, it is brave. It's also brave to dive headfirst off a bridge into traffic. So brave. So brave. Borderline moronic. No, not borderline. Moronic, but brave. Stupid, but brave. Gonna kill you. Gonna kill your game, but brave. Not sure I'd call it fantastic.
Embrace grand strategy for what it is. You are the guiding force and spirit of a nation, not some...
Yeah, we're the spirit of a nation. That's something that runs all throughout Paradox games, other than, CK, because then you're the spirit of a dynasty, right? You are the spirit of the nation. You know what is a part of that nation? It's fucking military. You are not playing as Queen Victoria when you play as Great Britain. You're not playing as Queen Victoria. You are playing as Great Britain. Queen Victoria does not have absolute control over the military. But Great Britain does, and you are playing as Great Britain. Victoria 3 doesn't say you are playing as the ruler. You are playing as Queen Victoria. It also says that you're playing as the spirit of the nation. Else, how are you able to individually build fucking lumber mill, yeah? in bumfuck nowhere, or a banana plantation, or an iron mine, right? Queen Victoria didn't say, oh yes, I think we should have an iron mine in fucking Yorkshire. She didn't do that. She never did that. She also never commanded the military herself. But if you can do the former in Victoria 3, why can't you do the latter? You're playing as a spirit. You're making the argument that you shouldn't control the military because of Spirit of the Nation, but Spirit of the Nation is the argument for why you should be able to. This is a moronic argument.
For what it is. You are the guiding force and spirit of a nation, not some armchair general who substitutes a military uniform for pajamas. The role of the nation state, the role of government, is not to micromanage wars, troops, and generals.
Nor is it to micromanage your individual research. Nor is it to micromanage the exact breakdown of your buildings, or to say, I think we should have an extra barracks here, or an extra shipyard here, so that we'll have one extra ship. Right? You're making an argument that just doesn't exist. You're saying that we shouldn't be able to do generalship and warfare because we're the spirit of the nation. But that's exactly why we should. And other examples of things we can do in Victoria 3 are examples of this spirit of the nation element, idea. You are not playing an individual person. You're playing the entire country. And the military is part of that country.
It has been done, like Hitler in World War II, but almost never ends well. The purpose of a nation is to prepare itself for war, put in place the supply and logistical structure, and...
Please point out the logistics in Victoria 3, because it fucking doesn't exist. It just straight up doesn't. When troops can fucking teleport, troops being intangible is like the biggest issue with that warfare system. You could encircle troops, and then as soon as that pocket closes and they're all dead... Oh, wait, no, they weren't dead. They just teleported fucking home. Intangibility ruins that warfare system. I would say it ruins the game, but this Victoria 3 has so many elements that ruin that game and make it a completely worthless experience in frustration and annoyance.
Put good people in places of power. This is not done properly yet, and improvements are...
It never will. It never will.
...are very needed. But recently, Wiz, the lead designer, has made clear this is planned, hopefully, at no cost.
Look, they can improve this warfare system as much as they want, right? The underlying problem with this warfare system is foundational. It will never be good. Never be good. To change this warfare system into something good would take a year of dedicated development time in which like Victoria 3 gets no other updates. The problem is foundational, and adding on to that, as much as like I know that some Paradox people watch my videos, and I'm pretty sure this will be watched by somebody at Paradox. I want to make it very clear, I think Wiz is a perfectly nice guy. I met him at PDXCon in Stockholm in 2019, one of the two. Lovely guy. I think he's also a really good developer. What he did in Stellaris, I really fucking like. I think it's amazing. Yeah, I think he really changed that game to be something amazing. And he has this reputation as like this god developer in the Paradox community, or he did, I don't know about now, for that reason, because he was the head of Stellaris when it did some really important, huge overhaul DLCs and updates that improved the game massively. Having said that, I think the problem with the warfare system is completely foundational. And while Wiz is the lead developer, I don't think it's going to change. I don't think it's going to ever be good. Because this is what he wants, right? This is... taking my own personal opinion of it being shit completely out of it, right? This warfare system, conceptually, is what Wiz wants. And while he remains game developer, or game director, game lead, I don't know what the exact title is, that's not going to change, right? He has a vision, and sure, it can take improvements, but this warfare system suits his vision. It is what he wants. I personally think that his vision and what he wants for a warfare system is actively terrible. And that's not a slight on Wiz, that's us having completely different priorities and desires for a warfare system. So, he can improve it as much as he wants. He can say that, yes, we've got this improvement coming, this improvement coming, this improvement coming. But unless he completely changes what he wants for the game, he changes his vision, it will remain bad. Because what he wants, I think, is actively bad. It just is the way it is.
Victoria 2 had direct troop movements, allowing you to decide composition and everything else for your army, more or less, which is somewhere in between Hoi 4 and EU4 in style. This is something the Victoria 2 diehards hate, and why Victoria 3...
I don't even think you can really claim that it's Victoria 2 diehards, right? I think Victoria 2 is a better game than Victoria 3. I also wouldn't class myself as a Victoria 2 diehard. I just wouldn't. Look, we open my Steam library. Victoria 2 is sitting here at 231 hours. I got CK3 at 377. EU4 is sitting at 7,000. If anything, I'm an EU4 diehard. And there's still things that I really dislike about EU4. Victoria 3, meanwhile, is actually, 276. It's more than Victoria 2. Although I did play some non-Steam hours on it. I'm not a Victoria 2 diehard. It is not just Victoria 2 diehards that see problems with this warfare system. I'd argue it's everyone with a brain.
Got so much of a bad rep, besides the lack of content. And honestly, it's just ridiculous. If you want war and micromanagement...
Oh, please don't say what you're about to say. Oh, I fucking beg you. I'm going to go back, because there's some comment that I want to respond to before I get to this ridiculous argument.
Besides the lack of content. And honestly, it's just ridiculous. If you want war and micromanagement, there's a game for that. It's called Hearts of Iron 4.
Fuck me. Oh, I hate this argument. And it's one that I have heard so fucking frequently on the Victoria 3 forums. And it is moronic. I don't like Hearts of Iron 4. Fun fact. I don't like that game. I don't think it's a terrible game or a bad game or shit. It's just not for me. I don't like Hearts of Iron 4. I don't want to play Hearts of Iron 4. I don't want Victoria 3 to have Hearts of Iron 4 combat or warfare. I just don't. So saying, if you want warfare, go play Hearts of Iron is a fucking moronic comment. What I want is for Victoria 3 to have a functional and serviceable and more than anything else, I want it to have a fun warfare system. And you cannot argue with a straight face that Victoria 3 fulfills any of those desires. None of them. You calling the dislike towards Victoria 3's warfare system ridiculous? Your defense of it is ridiculous.
Check it out. It's pretty good. If you want middle-of-the-ground games, there are EU4, CK2, and CK3. They allow you to control your nation and your character while also having a little bit of control of your armies and generals. Victoria promises a nation simulator with a heavy focus on politics and economics.
Which it does not do better than its predecessor, neither in the economic factor or the political factor. What does Victoria 3 do better than any other game? Fuck me, I'm all out. I don't know. Probably something. Probably. I don't know.
It's not a war game.
Look, nobody's asking for it to be a war game. Nobody is asking for it to be a war game. No one is saying, I want my little men on the map that I can click and move around because I want it to be a war game. Nor would putting that system in Victoria 3 turn it into a war game. EU4 is not a war game. And yet you can click on your soldiers, you can click on your armies, and you can click elsewhere, and they will move there. And if they meet an enemy, they'll fight. That doesn't make it a war game. EU4 is not a war game. You can do the same in CK2 and CK3. Are they war games? No! No, they're fucking not. Is Victoria 2 a war game? You've got your armies, you can move them around, you've got your front lines that you can fight on, you've got shape of provinces, and all of this kind of stuff. Is it a war game? No! No, it's fucking not. And to claim that it is patently ridiculous. It's borderline brain dead. Victoria 3 doesn't need to turn into a war game to have a functional and fun warfare system. Including, say, just ripping out EU4's warfare system wholesale and putting it in Victoria 3, if that were even possible, would not turn it into a war game. Fuck, even implementing a Hearts of Iron system wouldn't turn it into a fucking war game. What a ridiculous comment.
I will say again, Victoria 3 has huge gaping issues
No
that
shit.
require time and improvement. But Victoria 3 and even EU4, they were the same way. Skeletons of gold, ready to be assembled into something more.
Yeah, except Victoria 3 is not a skeleton of gold. It's a rickety pile of shite.
The only thing that can stop that is abandonment. If Victoria 3 goes the way of Imperator and gets left on the curb, it will be another Victoria 2. And then the Luddites will sit upon their high horse and be fully right in their criticism.
We're already right in our criticism. It doesn't take Paradox abandoning Victoria 3 for us to be proven right. We are already right that this game is bad.
Except for one thing. Modders.
No shot. No fucking shot that you are pulling out the modder card when you dismissed it as a reason why Victoria 2 shouldn't be seen as a good game. No shot you're pulling out that card. Absolutely incredible.
Legend has it, the average Paradox modder
same fucking
runs on
picture as
two
well.
things.
Wild.
Energy drinks and coffee that could kill a horse, and a stubborn enthusiasm born out of looking upon an imperfect object and saying, I can fix that. They will make this game good. It's that simple. Even if the Paradox investors take Wiz out to a Swedish lake and shoot him in the back of the head with a silenced pistol, success is inevitable. I don't have faith in Paradox, nor should you. They are a publicly traded company who care first and foremost and always will about money.
What is the music he's got going on in the background? Listen to this.
Nor should you. They are a publicly traded company who care first and foremost and always will about money. But I do put faith in modders and the community built around these games who take it upon themselves to fix what nobody else will.
Oh my god, this is crazy. This is actually crazy that he's using modders as an argument as to why Vic 3 is gonna be good. Oh my god. You've literally just, it's like right here, you used modders, like modders for Vic 2. We're looking at Vic 2 in positive light because of modder, and you use, Wild. Legitimately wild.
Which is why these fucking Vic 2 Luddites piss me off. They really do.
What? Why? Why do they piss you off? Because they enjoy a game? And they think that its sequel is bad? And they share their opinion on said sequel? And that pisses you... Why does that piss you off? You like Victoria 3. Why aren't you content with that? Do you require other people to like it too? Why? Like, for what reason? You can say, I like Victoria 2. Fine. I don't think there's going to be a single Victoria 2 enjoyer that is going to get pissed off about you enjoying Vic 3. If anything, they're pissed off that Vic 3 doesn't live up to their expectations. Even I'm not pissed off at you. I think your arguments are a spectrum of bad to honestly kind of idiotic. But I don't think you're not pissing me off. I don't know.
As well as anyone who feeds into that narrative. They want perfection from a studio who has a track record of alpha releases and slow quality.
No. No one expected Vic 3 to be perfect on release. They just expected it to... Well, they aren't. Before they learned of the various systems in the dev diaries, they expected it to be competent. Or they hoped that it would be competent. They hoped that it would be a worthy successor to the game they'd spent nearly 10 years continuing to play. Getting pissed off at them for being disappointed that the sequel to the game they played for nearly 10 years didn't live up to the game they played for nearly 10 years is wild. Why are you getting pissed off at people for being unhappy? Could you maybe try, like, a bit of empathy, perhaps? That might suit better. That might be better. Bit of empathy. And I also don't think it's, completely unthinkable to expect a little bit more from Paradox. Like I said, Victoria 2 had been out for nearly 10 years. What they could, and I'd argue should have done, is looked at the previous fucking game to see what was good about it. They should have looked at the most popular mods for that game, HPM, HFM, whatever, and been like, okay, why are these mods popular? And maybe implemented some of that. Because I see this so frequently, right? Victoria 3 being compared to release version Victoria 2. No DLCs, no mods. Oh, but Victoria 2 was shit on release. Therefore, a game released nearly 10 years later with fucking 70 times the budget, with about fucking 20 times the manpower, the amount of developers. Clearly, you shouldn't expect Victoria 3 to be shit. Victoria 2 was shit on release. Was empty on release. Was broken on release. It doesn't matter that Victoria 3 has all of these fucking advantages. The ability to see what Victoria 2 did correctly and what it did wrong. The ability to see what people want in a Victoria 2 mod. All of these advantages. A massive development team comparatively. A fucking colossal budget comparatively. And it's still released worse. It is perfectly valid, expected, normal, and correct to be disappointed in the piss-poor way that Victoria 3 released. And arguing that, this is just what Paradox does, is a fucking cop-out. It really is a cop-out. You say that you don't have faith in Paradox as a company because money, whatever. And yet you're fucking breaking your back, bending over for them to excuse this. Why? I don't understand. Your anger is placed at people who are rightly disappointed. Instead of at Paradox. You're just accepting that that's just the way things are. Why? For what fucking reason? What advantage does it give you? What benefit does it give you to just roll over and accept that? Expect better. Because you deserve better.
They want a war game that is not good.
Nobody wants a fucking war game. No one. It's not an argument that anyone has fucking made. Fucking quit with that stupid argument. It's not true. Nobody asked for a fucking war game. And if you consider putting men on the map that you can move a war game, then I'd argue that your opinion on what is and isn't a war game is... It's not stupid. It's not, brain dead. It's just fucking wrong. It's just incorrect. It's invalid. It's just wrong. It's like saying the color of this fucking sea is pink. Yeah? It's just wrong. It's just wrong. You're colorblind.
Built for it because a game without constant battles and flashing lights is not worth playing, and because they actively and publicly root for the failure of a game, which given time will be, I think, a masterpiece.
Do I root for the failure of Victoria 3? It is a really good question, because on the one hand, I don't want any game to be bad, right? What is the benefit of wanting a game to be bad, especially if you get what you want and the game is bad? Huzzah! What, you get a couple of videos that'll do well with clicks where you complain about the game. Congratulations, and you move on to the next thing. Because that's what it is, right? I had quite a few people comment on my negative Victoria 3 videos saying you're just doing it for clicks. You're just doing it for views. No. Positivity gets way more views. Positivity gets much more sustainability than negativity does. That's just a fact. It's just a straight up fact. So no, I don't want Victoria 3 to fail. I want Victoria 3 to fix its fucking self. It has potential based purely on the name, the company, and the time period. Yeah? What has been offered in Victoria 3 is fucking awful in so many ways. But most of it is probably fixable in time. Do I want it to fail? On the one hand, no, because of that. On the other hand, I really don't want this game in its current state to succeed. I don't. Because of all of these systems in the game that I think are fucking awful, if the game succeeds, then future Paradox games might look at Victoria 3 and say, look, people liked this system. People like this and that and the other, right? And so we should implement this, that, and the other into our next game. And I don't want that. I don't want the next game to be tainted by this fucking failure. So on that count, I want Victoria 3 to fail so fucking hard that they never consider putting this version of a warfare system into another game again. I want to crash and burn before I want, this warfare system in EU5. More than that, I want Victoria 3 to change its warfare system to be remotely good. Because right now it just fucking isn't. And I don't think you'd find many people that would disagree with that. I think if you spoke to, I'd say Spudgun, he's the most prevalent or visible person who hates on Victoria 3. Even though I think he did, 3 videos on it or something. Whatever. If you asked him, do you want Victoria 3 to fail? He'd probably say something similar. The vast majority of his content is Victoria 2 multiplayer. It would probably benefit him more than maybe any other creator if Victoria 3 was fucking amazing. In every way, yeah? Because then he could migrate all of his, content onto a new game, get a fresh audience. He'd probably blow up in popularity. I mean, nobody wanted the game to fail. They wanted the game to be good. And the game will never be good while its current vision is being implemented. And its current vision will continue to be implemented for as long as Wiz is there. Like I said, as much as he's a nice guy and a great developer, his vision for the game is just completely at odds at what I and many others find to be fun. And that's fine, right? Everyone can like different things. The problem is that he's making a product and not something solely for himself.
Peace. I have no respect for that, none at all. So let me leave you with a simple thought.
It is what it is.
Ending off this rather long rant, but I think it's an important one. Think about what modders have done in CK3. in EU4, in Hoi 4, and in all other strategy games. Think about what CK3 has become with time and the amazing mods that have been created and fixes. Think about Stellaris and the amount of amazing content that was developed to make a fun but imperfect game into an absolutely spectacular space simulator. And lastly, take a moment to think about where Victoria 3 will be in 3 years. Really just imagine it. It's gonna...
I mean, I feel like I've gone over this. Obviously, at the end of the video now. I think I've gone over this. As long as this development team has this vision for the game, it will remain bad. In 3 years' time, it will still be bad. Will it be better? Probably. But I think there's a saying about, you know, polishing turds. I feel like that's pretty appropriate in this situation. But especially when talking about the modders, right? Look at the modders for Vic 2. Look at the modders for CK2. Look at the modders for EU4. Sure. Like I said, though, those modders had an absolute love for the game. And, you know, maybe there is a modder that feels like you do. That Victoria 3 is some fucking hidden gem. A foundation of fucking diamonds or some shit. Maybe that modder exists, but I haven't seen him yet. I don't think they exist. But hey, maybe you'll find them. Maybe you'll be them. I don't know. It's just
gonna be fantastic.
No, it
isn't.
isn't.
And the best part is nobody will listen to the Victoria 2 diehards who will still be taking long puffs from their copium drip. I'm Hammurabae, and
I mean, if anyone is huffing copium right now, like seriously, if anybody is huffing copium right now, it's Victoria 3 players. It's you. You are the one huffing copium. Your copium is, but look, in 3 years it's going to be good. But look, Victoria 2 is dead. It's not had any updates. Blah, blah, blah. Like, all this video. This video is your copium. This is just, it's kind of wild. I'm not gonna lie. It's very funny to me that you would accuse people who dislike Vic 3, who've basically moved on and continued on with their lives, of huffing copium. Like, let's right, like, Tommy K, Eye Sorrows, and Spud Gun. Let's have a gander, right? Let's go with Tommy K first. Man seems to be doing pretty fine, you know. He's just moved on with his life. He's kept playing Hearts of Iron, bit of Age of Wonders. The game's a fucking gem. You know, I don't see the copium. I don't see the copium here. What about I Sorrow? Maybe he's coping. ISP, how hard are you coping right now? Are you coping hard? Well, there's quite a lot of Hoi 4 in there. No, I don't see the copium here. No, okay. Maybe Spud Gun. Let's see, any copium going on in here? No, he's just playing Victoria 2. There's a lot of Victoria 2. Oh, we've got 4 months ago. He had a 1 minute video about Victoria 3. Oh wait, no, 2 months ago. He wondered if Victoria 3 was successful. But that's kind of it. Sure, okay. I don't know, my dude. I feel like this is the copium that you're accusing others of having. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I want to say again. I like Hammurabi, and I watch his Victoria 3 videos. I find them not interesting because of the game, but because of the roleplay that he does. I think his roleplay is just really fun to watch. And I hope that we're still cool after this, you know? I don't think we've interacted enough to call us friends, but, like, we're acquaintances, and I hope we continue to be acquaintances, right? Because, you know, I kind of like the guy. I just think he's got some dog shit opinions when it comes to this game, and massive blinkers, just straight up huge, colossal blinkers. But it is what it is. Is Victoria 3 a better game than Victoria 2? No. He piled on so many L takes in this video. But anyway, this is a 1 hour and 25 minute long video that I'm not going to edit whatsoever. I'm just going to straight up post it up. And it's probably going to do really badly. Yeah, it is what it is. If you've watched this far, thank you very much. Hope you liked it and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to see what I do, then I also stream on Twitch, and I have recently, as in just today, created a VOD channel where VODs will be uploaded. So you can find that, like, on my channel, like the home page of my channel. It's right there. You should do that. That'd be great. Yep, end of the video. Get out of here. Bye-bye.